football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. Thank you very much for your support. The figures going up and up right across all our content on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and of course quite a lot of you are enjoying our content right across our social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. It's all there for you to enjoy, and if you download the PLZ Soccer app, it is there at your fingertips. There's also the podcast, which lots of people decide once they get a wee peaceful moment, they get the earphones in and they go away and just listen to us chatting as well, and we really appreciate your support, so thank you to each and every one of you for that. All the way through until the end of the season, every week we'll be giving you a chance to win yourself a fabulous prize. And I have to say, Ruffy, you know, lots of people have said thank you. There have been competition winners, and last night we decided to go and hand out the prize to some lucky winner of the Jota canvas signed by Jota himself. Thanks to Gio Thompson for providing that for us. I was getting a bit worried because the two of us were roaming about an estate, and it just looked as if I was waiting on
you and your shorts.
Well, I was just about to say I was waiting for the police car coming just to pick us up.
Yeah, I think another 5 minutes we would get done for loitering, you know, or something else.
Yeah, and I have to say, John O'Neill was... Look at that, Tam. And John O'Neill's... I think that's his brother in the background. And the mum was in as well. And John invited us in, but you know that uneasy feeling when you just stand in the living room and go, there's nothing you can say. So John was happy. He was delighted with his signed canvas, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was saying he was wishing. I think he was telling us that he was staying with his mum now, but he was waiting and getting a place of his own.
Yes,
and that's where he was going to hang the Jota print. So
that's exactly
it. Let's hope he gets that home soon.
And of course, the other thing about it, which was absolutely fantastic, we did tell him that we play a bit of tennis, and he says, "Oh, I play tennis at the exact same place you do." And then Ruffy had that usual look of disdain, as if to say, "You're not in our league." I knew he was thinking it, but he didn't have the guts to say it to John. It was incredible.
You get me in there?
Well, I was thinking that, but you know that look of us, as if looked up and down and thought, "Oh,
you might be looking for a new partner anyway."
Well, absolutely. If if he doesn't get his finger out and start chasing some of the balls. Anyway, well done to John O'Neill, and of course the winner of last week's competition.
We haven't actually told them yet, have we? I mean, we presented last night's.
So
we'd like to know if you would like to present the next one. It would be
fantastic if you could present it. What was the prize from last week, Ruffy?
It was the books. Was it
no, it was the Luka Modric Champions League
replica. It'd be great if you went up with that one.
Eh?
Where's the guy's tie?
Oh, yeah, team player of the year, not.
I'm not gone. Where is it? Right, Dingwall or something?
Rossshire.
Is that Dingwall?
Everton.
Just by Dingwall.
Everton.
Post them it.
Well done. Thanks to Mark Vaughan, who entered the competition. Well done to you, Mark. We'll be sending you that look.
Was that the weatherman? I think I spoke to him on Twitter actually.
Is that right?
Vaughan, I think he's involved in the weather. I could be completely wrong here.
Yeah.
What are you on?
Where did you pull that from?
Please, if you're watching Mark, go on the chat and say you're a weather, something to do with weather.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, you're on the weather.
He's got a weather channel or something.
And are you on the weather channel?
He's got a weather channel?
I don't know.
Wow. If you're watching weather channels, you need to have a long, hard look at yourself, by the way. Anyway, Mark Vaughan is the competition winner from last week. This week's competition, it's an absolute cracker with Kerry.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's a great competition. Two great books. We've had a look through them, Ruffy. They're brilliant, aren't they?
They're fantastic looking through. I mean, Tam's later than me. I can go back to the 70s and looking at all the strips from back then, and you even go further back than that, you know, the Rangers supporters and the Celtic supporters. But it's fantastic to see the change in the strips through the decades.
Yeah, and I like the competition where you only have to put in what book you want to win. There's no question attached to it, which is fantastic.
Completely thick.
Yeah.
I'm still getting this competition.
Well, that's why we accept everybody of all intellects on the programme.
You got a problem with thick people.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say. And don't forget, Tam's here for the foreseeable future, just as we cater for everybody. Anyway. The point I was going to make to you was with that Rangers and Celtic book in mind, we thought to ourselves, I wonder, with all these strips, who's the top 10 greatest ever Celtic or Rangers players? Who's that top 10 from 10 to 1? We just come up with a suggestion on it, and I'll talk about it later with you guys. Get your thinking caps on. Tonight we'll do Rangers, tomorrow we'll do the top 10 for Celtic. But it's an interesting one. We've gone 10 straight through to 1, and we'll get that shortly. Here's the quiz question for you. This is a good one, Ruffy. I caught this one up. Name the only player to have appeared in 6 European Cup final wins.
Just appeared. He doesn't have to win it.
He's appeared in it and he's won it.
And won it.
6.
Wow.
That's the question.
That's the question today.
He's played in it and won 6.
He's appeared in 6 European Cup finals and won them all. Oh. That's a belter, isn't it? Do you want to have a wee?
Appeared. No. Now, you need to think about this. So it could be appeared means he could have been a player and a manager.
Don't worry, it's not the Proclaimers. It's 6 European Cup finals. Do you want to have a wee go?
No.
They've changed the word on that. Appeared. They could have said played. No, he's just been a player. So now you're opening up. I think he's been a manager as well.
He's played
in them all.
Played in them all and won them. Yeah. Do you want to have a go?
Go for Clarence Seedorf.
Seedorf. What about yourself, Ruffy? Are you going to go for anybody?
Nobody yet. No, I've got the whole show.
Guess somebody.
Okay. Well, listen.
Make a fool of yourself.
Every now and then, you can have a wee guess throughout the show, Ruffy, if anything comes into your mind. We'll give you the answer of the quiz at the end, and good luck with the competition as well. I have to say congratulations, Manager of the Month Robbie Nielsen, 2 derby victories, as well as that 5-0 win over Aberdeen and a win over St Mirren. Absolutely fantastic month for him, and well deserved, I think, Tam.
Yeah, it was. I think Hearts have been excellent, in January. I said 2 big results over Hibs and a big result over Aberdeen, so you've got to say he's well deserved, and he's not got off to the great start in February, but in January he was tremendous.
Yep, typical of a Hibby, just to try and highlight the negative there, Ruffy. But nevertheless, he's won it, and I like the way I like the look of Hearts. Sometimes you think to yourself they're really going to fly, and then the Rangers game they absolutely I think did not step up to the plate, but. With the other sides around them, they've certainly got the making of them.
Yeah, I think if they're honest enough, they know it doesn't matter what they do, they'll never catch Rangers and Celtic. But what they have done is they're trying to make sure that they're going to be, well ahead of everybody else. And that's what they've done, and that's encouraging. I think if you're a Hearts supporter, you can see the attendance at Tynecastle. They're bought into everything that they're doing, and well done to them, because we want any team to put a bit of pressure on Rangers and Celtic, and at this moment in time they seem to be the only one.
And of course, listen, if there was a goal of the month competition, Stephen Humphreys wins it hands down, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that was I struggled to get a better goal than that this season. Fantastic goal, and it'll be a real topper to beat that one, to top that one this season.
You'll never believe this, Tam. Mark Vaughan is watching the programme at this moment. And he's
got something to do with the weather.
He's just said to me, "Afternoon, gents. I reckon Tam should deliver my shirt. It's only a 3.5 hour drive, which is not bad." And Mark has just said, "Bang on, Tam. Weather. You're the man." So there you are. Well, I didn't know that. We just randomly pick winners of the competition. So that's absolutely fantastic. Are you going to deliver it now? 3.5 hours. Nip up there, Mark. We've had a look at Edmonton on the Google Maps, and there's not many people live in that area, so you might be able to, you and Mark, just go at the pub, and then there's that silence as you realise you've got nothing in common with each other. There's nobody in the village.
When you're actually going, you could tune in with Mark and he could tell you like the weather is that day you're going up.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fantastic. It's not going to happen. No. Okay, Mark. Sorry, Mark. We'll just post it to you. There's no chance we're coming up unless, Mark, you tell us that Edmonton suddenly has a nightclub and a couple of pubs, and then we might change our mind. Is that fair?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. As far as Hearts are concerned, it's been a good month. Give us your thoughts on the 2 derby victories as well, Ruffy. I think that was the key element of it for me. 2 3-0 wins.
Yeah, very convincing wins. Good the way they set out their stall. Good to watch. I think they got Hibs at the right time when they were not playing particularly well. A bit take anything away from him. Not, I think that month he had deserves everything he gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to Robbie Nielsen, and of course, well done to him as well, because every now and then in the post-match press conference, he always. I don't think Robbie can actually help himself. He's just desperate to have a go at the ref sometimes, doesn't he? He's not a big fan of the referees.
Must have a few fines off SFA.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm looking here, Tam, you're talking about it hasn't been too good for him. In the last 6 games, it's been 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. That one defeat against Rangers.
No, as I said, it's a very good January, but start of February, battered half Rangers, so it wasn't a great start.
Yep, okay, and of course the 3-1 win over Dundee United. I'll try and balance things as Tam tries to put out a dark cloud on a sunny day. Hey, what about, wait till we see him change his tune now. Premiership Player of the Month, Kevin Nisbet.
Thoroughly deserved.
Yeah.
I think if you look at that, he's outstanding all month, best player in Scotland in January.
Yeah.
I think he deserved it. I think his performances, hat-trick against Motherwell, linked to a lot of clubs, never got his move unfortunately for him, but I think he was outstanding in January. He really maybe kept Lee Johnston a job, to be honest. I think some of his goals are very important. And listen, I think he deserved it.
He's actually, it's amazing, Ruff. He's the first player to win this award this season out with the Old Firm. I mean, it's been all Celtic or Rangers.
Yeah, the 3 games that he played in, and the goals that he scored, and not just the number of goals he scored, the quality of the goals he scored. He had some crackers, that against some of the teams, so that thoroughly deserved him, and unfortunately picked up that injury.
Yeah, what's the difference between the Nisbet that was off for him just before he picked up the injury that we were watching thinking, has he lost it completely, to the one that's come back?
I think he's worked hard in the gym. I think he's got himself fitter. I think he looks as if he's leaner. And he looks quicker, he just looks hungrier, just looks a better player. I think he's went away and worked on the parts of the game that he had to work on, and that was his strength and his pace. He looks quicker now as well, so I just think all round he's come back, and he's come back hungrier. He's been out of the game for a long time, and I know myself, when you pick up long-term injuries, you're bursting to get back into it, you're bursting to play again. You see everybody get out to train every day, it's absolute torture, and once you get back out in that grass, you're really hungry to prove that you're still the same player that the people thought you were.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to Kevin Nisbet, the Cinch Premiership Player of the Month for January. A great month for him. Can he kick on now that he's back at Hibernian again and just drive them further up that table? It'll certainly be Hibs looking for top 6 if they can keep him fit. Other news that we want to talk about today on the programme, we will have the top 10 Rangers players of all time in order, and it's just a suggestion. You might think there's somebody else that should be in there, or somebody that we've missed. We'll look at some of the Scottish Cup fixtures over the weekend coming up. Well worthy of your thoughts on that. And of course there's been a list that has Celtic and Rangers placed in it for overall the longest unbeaten run in Europe, and they're in that table. We'll have a wee look at that, as well as talk to Tam about Hibs and the youngsters coming through after they played in that game and narrowly lost out to Borussia Dortmund in that youth match at Easter Road, and a good crowd there as well, Tam, which we'll talk about. Next bit of news that we want to talk about, which is something that greeted us all this morning, which is Alan Burrows has been appointed Chief Executive of Aberdeen. I had a sneaky feeling that there was certainly something, brewing in the background, despite the fact he's had a tough month or two.
Yeah, I think we all know what Motherwell meant to him. He was there in the morning and he was last to leave at night. And everything that came out of Motherwell was coming out through him right at the very start. His relationship with the media, the relationship with the fans, and the time he was in there, he's had a fantastic experience, but there comes a time when you got to move on, and everything seems just a wee bit too neat, for him to leave Motherwell, and then the Aberdeen job comes in. So maybe there was something going on behind the scenes. Maybe he had been approached and maybe he sort of has dwelt on it and thought about it. But I think it's a great appointment for Aberdeen. I think Aberdeen need to come across, in all aspects. We know what they've got to do on the football part. They've got a new training ground. But I think being the appointment that he's getting is another sort of a thing that you need at a club to get everybody on board.
Yeah,
going forward.
You look at him, he joined Motherwell in the capacity as their communications PR man. He was absolutely outstanding. He just kept winning the award because he he was the one man who really grasped what being a PR person is all about, which is to obviously try and create a good link between the media and the club, which some people would do well to take a leaf out of his book and understand what it's all about. So he was exceptional at that, so much so that I don't think any other club had a sniff of it. And then he moved on to general manager and then chief executive, which I think he's done a sterling job. If anything, you know, the pressures of it all, 24/7. Stephen Hamill mentioned the fact that he's absolutely committed to it, never switches off. It's the love of his life. It's obviously a labour of love as well, and sometimes that can get to you, especially if the club's not doing too well.
Yeah, I think he was CEO for 9 years. I think that's a long time at a club. He's obviously a big supporter of the club. You know, he used to go to all the games, and as you said, he came in as a PR guy. You know, he always treated well at Motherwell, the media. And you always get little media packs, you know, stats and all that. They were very well catered for, all the media at Motherwell. So I just think a fresh start would be in his interests. I think he's going to go up there and do well up there. I think off the park as well, he was Motherwell and the community were probably one of the best clubs in Scotland for me. You know, with the mental health, you know, the messages they were sending out to people for mental health, getting people in the community to support the club, and getting out and about, players out and about into schools, all that stuff that people maybe don't recognise. You know, that's a big thing at a club, and I think he's going to go and do that at Aberdeen as well. Get the local communities back in the club again, get kids to the games, and so no, I think it's a very, very good appointment. I think he's great at what he does. He knows Scottish football inside out. He's got a lot of contacts, and I think that'll be an astute appointment for Aberdeen. Yeah,
well, you look at his record at Motherwell, the transition to fan ownership, recorded their highest ever turnover and net profit, achieved a record transfer fee and a sponsorship deal, and recorded the highest ever season ticket sales. And let's not forget, if you're talking about PR for a club who actually used some of the David Turnbull transfer to give the fans a free season ticket. I mean, that is good going. That's the type of thing that fans don't forget. Some fans have been giving him a bit of jip for the way Motherwell are playing at the moment and the difficulties of that, and I think that's been painful for him to actually to hear and to see some fans who really don't have a filter on abuse. But this is a statement on the appointment. This is what Alan Burrows had to say on the move to Aberdeen. It's a real privilege to be asked to take up the position of Chief Executive at Aberdeen. I've built up a good working relationship with the chairman over the years and was very pleased when he got in touch. There is much to do on and off the pitch, and I'm excited and eager to work with the many talented staff who I know are in place at Pittodrie. I'm also keen to immerse myself as much as I can in the city with the supporters so I can best reflect the traditions and expectations of the Dons fan base. And I think Aberdeen fans are in for a treat. It's just my personal opinion. I think he's a thoroughly decent man, very talented, and he will work his butt off for Aberdeen. Dave Cormack had this to say about the appointment of Alan Burrows. Alan has all the experience and qualities you'd look for in a chief executive. He got his finger firmly on the pulse of the Scottish game, and he's fully aligned with the strategy and vision we have to drive Aberdeen forward. In taking over as chairman, the intention was always to appoint a chief executive. However, the COVID pandemic hit, and I feel the need to lead the club through the significant financial challenges that presented. When Alan announced his intention to step down at Motherwell, we began a dialogue which, I'm delighted to say, has led to his appointment. So well done, Dave Cormack. That's a really good move there. Now we're just waiting on you coming up with a manager. Is it too much to ask for? I know that Chris Wilder said no. He's not interested now.
Yeah, obviously his name came up because he's down in England and that, but I thought his name was thrown in there, and it just grew arms and legs because it was a good news. Talking about a manager from down in England, but never done anything for me. I'm just wondering, who that next manager up at Aberdeen might be with the connections that Alan Burrows has got.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is, I would imagine he'll come in and get his hand on this one right away. I think he'll have a say in it.
Absolutely. And I've seen a few supporters this morning talking about Stephen Robinson, who obviously worked at Motherwell.
Yeah.
He had a great spell at Motherwell. So that could be one. But the last manager, the Nick from St Mirren, didn't go too well. He just sacked him. So this is an enormous appointment. next manager's job at Aberdeen. They've really got to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only get it right, but start to get the fans back on board, because some of them are totally disenchanted with it. Incidentally, Ruffy, when Aberdeen are winning and they're trying to, push for the third force in Scotland, they've got a great travelling support.
Yeah, they have, but I think they've been losing that. You've been watching the attendances, they have been dropping. You're right in what you're saying. A fantastic Aberdeen side, or a winning Aberdeen side, would be 16, 17, 18,000 at home games. That's not been happening, and that's where they need to get back to. But I mean, I have to say that it must be a hard shift being an Aberdeen supporter with the travelling. I can't imagine having to travel the distances they have to travel, the away support. So you've got to keep them on board, you've got to do something, to keep them there, because they're the lifeblood of the club.
Yeah, win again.
Yeah. Can you imagine supporting a team that's won one game in 10, and every second week you're having to travel down to Glasgow or travel down to Edinburgh or travel? It's a hard shift.
Yeah.
The amount of money you're laying out, and the tickets and the bus and everything that goes with it. So well done to the Aberdeen supporters who do travel and stick on in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, just briefly, Tam, I thought we'd mention about last night. Hibs youth team. It was a late defeat to Borussia Dortmund. How did you think they performed?
I thought for 70 minutes they were the better team. I think that in the end, unfortunately, Dortmund's had a little bit extra class. Physically, they looked a lot stronger and quicker. Yeah, I think that's just German football. Played against Germans, Ruffy's played against Germans, and they're all big units.
Almost 8,000 there.
Almost 8,000 there.
Wow.
Fair play to the club. I think it was a fiver to get in. Priced it well. Great turnout. The Hibs supporters always get behind the young players, and you seen that last night. They really got behind some of the younger players, and some of them done their case no harm to get into the first team. Jacob Blaney, a boy I know well, worked with the Braiters, got the goal. Ethan Laidlaw, excellent. Megwa, Murray Aitken, middle of the pitch. There was the goalkeeper made a mistake for the goal, but a couple of great saves. So I'd be very disappointed if you're not getting 4 or 5 out of that team last night that don't go on and be regulars in the first team at Hibs.
Well, it would suggest, Ruffy, as he's rhyming them off there, it would suggest that maybe if the manager is brave about this, that suddenly you've got players that can make that step up, and it's a new breed of Hibs player.
But you've got to go for it, and you've got to get them on contracts. You've got to get them on long contracts, because if Tam's telling me they're as good as what they are, other teams will come and poach them. There'll be clubs watching them now. There'll be clubs for England probably at that game last night, just browsing to see what there is available, the young players that are coming through. And if Hibs haven't got them tied up, they're going to be lured. And that's what we don't want to happen in Scottish football. We want all the best players here.
Yeah.
Josh O'Connor and Ethan Laidlaw are both out of contract. And I don't know if the club have waited too late to deal them in, or the contracts that they've offered them has not been enough. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but if you were to lose those two for nothing, or get a development fee or whatever, I think it would. The Hibs supporters are not going to be happy.
I have to say I agree with you, Tam. That was if they'd have won last night, they'd been the first Scottish side to make it to that stage in that tournament. So you've got a group there that you would hope. Sometimes I think because of the nature of the way the money is down south at the moment, clubs up here, if they're going to blood their youngsters and get them into that first team and be brave about it all and play a certain way, you hope that you can get a 1 or a 2 year window where they're together and the fans can savour a really good team playing football, energy, high press, good skills technically as well. That's what you hope. 1 and 2 years, I think, is the absolute tops if you're lucky up here now.
It is. Obviously I played in the team myself with Scott Brown and Kevin Thompson and Stephen Whittaker and all these guys, Derek Riordan, Gary O'Connor. We all come through it around about the same time. There was maybe a 2 or 3 year age gap between us, all of us. So we all grew up in the Hibs youth system, and you've got to give them an opportunity. But there's no point in being there. I made my debut, I think, at 17 or 18 at Hibs. So did Scott Brown and Kevin. You've got to play them. You've got to give them a chance, because you'll never know if they're good enough. And there's very little pressure on Hibs at the minute. We're out of both cups. There's no danger of them getting relegated. Okay, they're going to try and catch Hearts for third, but there's surely got to be times this season, from now to the end of the season, where you go, right, you're 2-0 up or 3-0 up, right, let's get these kids on and give them a game, or even towards the end of the season, if you're sitting in 5th and you can't really get any higher, you give them a start. But they've got to be a pathway for the boys to come through, and I think over the last 18 months there hasn't been a pathway. Maybe that's changed now with them getting players out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hibs fans, are you excited by what you've been watching there? Give us your thoughts and whether you think it's a bright future if Lee Johnson is brave enough to throw a few of them into that starting lineup on a regular basis. Certainly, I think the general consensus is if a young player in Scotland wants to develop at a good level and go on to bigger things, then 100 to 150 games here is something that always helps, rather than maybe being plucked as a youth down to England. You don't even see the first team for a long while.
Yeah, and it's a shame they never qualified, because if they had qualified, obviously they'd be playing sort of the same sort of a football in Europe as what Celtic and Rangers are playing, and that might just be the thing that would want them to sign. You know, if they were getting a chance to play against top European sides, you know, the attraction would be, well, I'm improving, I'm getting better, you know, maybe I should stay here, maybe I get more first team games, which is important as well. But Tom's right, the more you keep them together and the more they progress together, the better you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this is the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you're listening on the podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as if you download the PLZ Soccer app. You can listen to the podcast on the app, or you can watch the show at your leisure. Anywhere, you can actually watch it live as well. And the great thing about the podcast, it has all the breaking football news at your fingertips, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. We've got lots of unique video content. We always like to throw in little things that will get you talking. And with us giving away the Celtic and Rangers book with the history of the strips, we thought we'd have a wee chat with each other and come up with the top 10 Rangers players of all time and the top 10 Celtic players of all time. Now, this is not a definitive. If you think we've got it wrong, why don't you offer your 10, what you think, or have we missed someone out? It's a great argument, Ruffy, for just actually sitting, maybe a half pint and a wee chaser, and you sit there and you have a wee debate with each other.
Yeah, it's great if you do it in the right environment with your pals. I remember being at a big sports do, and John Gagan was there, and John was given a sheet of paper to pick his best ever Scotland 11, and the winner in the hall would get a prize. And John, unfortunately, never picked 3 people that the majority of the people had in the hall. And it never went down particularly well. Hey, you young mug. It was a wee bit worse than that, actually. I've toned that down a bit. But no, you're right. If you're with your mates, you're always throwing names about and coming to something. There'll be 1 or 2 that nobody agrees with.
Well, I think when we put up the 10 all the way down to 1, there'll be some who'll be saying, oh, he should be higher, he should be lower. It's a great argument, it's a good pub argument, so I thought, here's the Rangers top 10.
Who are the top 10 greatest Rangers players of all time? Here is our 10, let us know what you think. At 10, it's defender George Young, who won 6 top flight titles at his time at Ibrox during the 40s and 50s. In 9th spot, we have gone for Derek Johnson, who scored a League Cup final winning goal at just 16 and was part of the famous 1972 European Cup Winners' Cup team. At number 8, it's Richard Gough, boasting his whopping 9 league titles for the Light Blues. Sandy Jardine claims 7th position, also part of the famous 1972 side. Jardine now has a stand named after him at Ibrox. At 6, we have Jim Baxter. Baxter is a legendary figure amongst Rangers fans and was a key part of the famous 1961 Cup Winners' Cup finalist side. Into our top 5 now with Davy Cooper. The magician spent 12 years at Rangers and is widely regarded as one of the club's greatest ever players. Brian Laudrup is in at number 4. God, as he is known in Govan, scored the goal that clinched Rangers 9 in a row in 1997. At 3, Paul Gascoigne. Gazza is one of the most gifted footballers to have played in Scotland and was also part of the famous 9 in a row winning team of 1997. Our runner-up is Ali McCoist. McCoist is the club's record goal scorer with an outstanding 355 goals. Claiming our number 1 spot is John Gregg. Gregg was voted the greatest ever Ranger in 1999 and is the club's honorary life president. What do you make of our top 10 then? Did we get it right, or have we missed anyone out?
Well, that's
Philip Sebo.
Shut up, you. To be fair, I don't know about you, Ruffy. I mean, I put a bit of thought into that, and I thought to myself, somebody's going to maybe disagree with the order of it. I mean, some people would actually turn around and say, well, wait a minute, Laudrup, Gascoigne, should they have been flipped the other way? But I just thought, I thought Gascoigne was world class, and Laudrup top drawer, but not quite world class.
I thought Laudrup was world class enough.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic, but was he world class?
No, I thought his brother was world class.
I thought Michael Laudrup was world class.
Was world class.
Yeah.
There's two I would throw in there, but when we throw in two in, I don't know what two I would leave out because I think
Are you going to put Dave Meiklejohn in?
No. I'm going to put our wee pal Barry Ferguson in. I think Barry was well up there the time he was there.
Yeah. The goalie?
And I'm going to throw the goalie in as well, but I'd be throwing the goalie in, I don't know who I would take out of that 10. So that's the problem. I don't know.
If you want a top 12, Ruffy?
Can you make it 12?
No, you can't make it 12.
Yes.
I made it 12.
They're just two that spring to mind. Barry Ferguson, captain, for a long, long time, coming into the team at the age he came in, and all the time he was there, he was a leader, as a captain with Rangers. So I would try and find possibly a way in for Barry, maybe just before Andy, because I don't know how to leave it. That's my problem.
Yeah. George Young was a legendary Rangers player not only for Rangers but for Scotland. And a captain, and a leader, and a winner as well. The only thing I was going to say to you, and this is, sometimes people talk about, and no disrespect to Mark Hateley, some people are suggesting because they're generational and their favourite players. James says Cooper is in there and Laudrup are 1 and 2 for him. It's that great debate about great players, what they achieved for the club, what they won, what they meant to the club. Greg was maybe not the most gifted player, but if he wasn't playing, he made sure everybody else was playing. He was certainly one of the most gifted leader, inspirational captains. To be fair to John Gregg, good, solid, quality defender, could play football, picked at international level, scored a great goal in a World Cup qualifier against Italy.
Another name springs to mind as well, and I know that the names that we've got in there are big names, but Willie Henderson.
Yeah,
Willie Henderson of his era was as good as anybody. People say him and Jinky, there wasn't much between them, different kind of wingers, right enough, but Willie Henderson for me was a standout.
And by the way, how you said that it should be one of those kind of a discussions where you sit down and you chat about it, you have a wee drink, and it's kind of a calm, and there's nobody losing the plot. Gordon McLean said, Peter, shut up. Laudrup, no world class, you're having a laugh.
I think I agree with that. I thought Laudrup was world class. I think he was, what a player.
Well, we tried.
Won the Euros with Denmark.
Yeah, we tried to pick that 10, and also the other aspect of it, which I highlighted, was Derek Johnson. I mean, Derek Johnson's not in the greatest ever Rangers team.
Is he not?
But I'm not going to in any way be derogatory towards Mark Hateley, who was a wonderful player. But for me personally, Derek Johnston would have been the all-time top post-war goal scorer for Rangers had he not been so good that he played midfield and centre half. I mean, he was that good. He had a great touch on him. He could he could score with his head, and he was brilliant that he could play in 3 different positions, Ruffy.
Yeah, I mean, that era was cross for Davy Cooper, header, Derek Johnson, goal. That's what they were all about.
Yeah. So, I mean, from my point of view, I am up there. Jonathan says Barry Ferguson should be in there. This is the great thing about these topics.
I agree with Barry. I think Barry should be in the top 10.
At the expense of who?
Yeah, no.
There's some older guys here. Honestly, I'm probably brilliant players, but I don't know them.
Barry Ferguson, Paul Gascoigne.
Look,
which one would you leave it there? Who would you leave?
Barry Ferguson.
You put Barry before Gaza?
Gaza was world class.
What?
Gaza was world class. I wouldn't be putting Barry in before him.
No, I was just about to say to you.
No, right, so who's
leaving Barry?
No,
one of the older
can't
players.
make it. He's just saying George Young because he didn't see him.
I didn't see him playing.
Yeah, that's a great debate about it.
He was leaning that 40.
And Gregor says to me, I love Gregor, because every now and then he's desperate to see if I'll bite with him, but he's said Derek Johnson is so good, Peter, he really must be a big mate of yours. So Gregor thinks if I call anybody by their nickname or anything like that, then DJ. Well, I did sit with him for 8 years at Radio Clyde. I mean, the two of us were in the sports desk. I mean, it was hard not to like him. He was absolutely.
That's another one. I was a top player, but I didn't see Derek Johnson play.
No, but by the way, right now he would be in the Rangers team every week. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
He was absolutely top drawer. So if I'm biased on that, and if somebody calls him the mate or that I like him too much, you had to see him play. He was, and also he was a great noise up. Because if he scored a goal, he'd go over and noise the opposition fans up, which, as you know, Tom, I like a bit of that. And DJ would do that, as some people will testify. Anyway, it's a good pub argument, isn't it? What about the Scottish Cup? Hamilton, well ahead of time, actually. Hamilton were off out of the traps today, having their press conference with the manager, John Rankin, well ahead of their cup tie against Hearts. So we sent our reporter, Kerry Pollock, out there to New Douglas Park.
Hamilton will host Hearts here at New Douglas Park this Friday night in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. Confidence will be high amongst Accies after a late last-minute winner to secure their place in the Scottish Challenge Cup final last night. But John Rankin says what a great opportunity it is for his side to go up against some of the country's best on Friday.
It's an opportunity, as I said, it's for them to go and play and progress their career, and they have to go and play. The only way you can progress is by playing against better players, and Friday night gives them that opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to see how they come out.
The Accies boss joked about keeping his goalkeeper on his line after Stephen Humphrey's wonder goal against Dundee United last weekend.
I'm going to glue him to the sticks. No, listen, for a player to have that vision and that ability to go and do so, and I'm led to believe it's his weaker foot. So I don't know, but I certainly couldn't do that with my right leg. But it's good ability, and listen, I admire it, because if I was in the I'd actually like to be in the stadium to see it.
Yeah, and John is actually a man who knows all about most of the Hearts players, because he was a coach there as well in the background. He'll have been privy to Robbie Nielsen's backroom team and the whole thing, and he'll know that this is a huge learning curve for his boys.
Yeah, he'll also know that he's got bigger fish to fry in the league, you know, and I'm pleased for him, because about 2 months ago I think he was getting a bit of stick for the fans. You know, they weren't winning games, obviously they were down the bottom of the league, but in the last 2 or 3 weeks they've started taking some scalps, you know, and I think the confidence must be high with the win last night, so the players will be getting in there with a lot of confidence. And I think the wee boy that scored last night was only 16 years of age.
Another break.
Fantastic.
You remember Armand Donny? He played with several Scottish clubs. Striker, it's his son, and he just left school in the summer there and signed for Hamilton. So another boy I know very, very well, coached him for 4 years at Braithurst, and got all the attributes to be a top player. He's massive. He's 16-year-old. He's huge. He's strong. He's quick. You know, and if he just screws the head and has a good attitude off the pitch, then the sky's the limit for that. Ryan Oney.
Yeah, they're unbeaten in 6 in all competitions, and of course, let's not forget, they knocked Ross County out.
Yeah, as Ruffy said there, they've had a good patch of form at the minute. They'll obviously need to play very, very well against Hearts to get a result. You know, Hearts will be huge favourites going into the game, but you know, it's a free hit for Hamilton. You know, nobody's expecting them to beat Hearts and put them out the cup. So they can go and have a go. They've got a lot of young players who'll be fearless on the night. As John said there, it's a great opportunity live on the TV to showcase your talent to the whole nation and for scouts watching. So it's a big opportunity for Hamilton, but I don't see them beating Hearts.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing this in here. I'll probably get it wrong.
Yeah.
Was it John Rankin that scored a screamer against Celtic?
Squiggler.
The Squiggler.
The halfway. I wasn't sure whether it was John. Yeah, I just remembered that, just when we were talking about him.
He could hit a goal. I mean, I can remember him actually. We were covering commentary up at, when we used to do that many years ago, not PLZ, at Radio Clyde, and it was Inverness against Rangers, and he hit one from 30 yards into the roof of the net. I mean, he was capable of it in his day, John. The reason I remember that is because we all then headed off to Johnny Fox's and then off to a nightclub. It was the days when you could stay up for the Inverness for the weekend. You know, those days.
Expenses on expenses, or not?
Fantastic, you know. Just magnificent, you know. Loved those days, Ruffy. They're coming back now because we had a right good Champions League hit at it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, unfortunately.
The 3 years need to go to a game. Can't I just have picked monies? I think that was poor. I think they've got to take you know what I mean? They've got to take it 3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought the deal was you do the home games, I do the away games. I thought that was part of my contract.
To be fair, I mean, that's the great thing about it. We are, as you know, Champions League last season. It was a real bonus for us, Ruffy. We certainly enjoyed it. We enjoyed Liverpool, not the game, because it was too one-sided towards Liverpool. Rangers, didn't really get into any great gear on it, and it was a tough night for them. But we certainly, Liverpool was a good trip, wasn't it, Tom?
It was, it was great. The stadium was fantastic, the tour, everything.
The thing I like about it is being out there with the supporters and seeing how they enjoy it.
We get stopped so many times, Ruffy. It was incredible, wasn't it, in Madrid?
It must be a fantastic being a Rangers, Celtic or whoever is supporter away, because it's just fantastic. You're meeting all your pals and you're in cafes and pubs, you're building up to the game and everything. It's great. I mean, I've been playing for 20 years. I was never a supporter, so I never had the chance to be out there and mingling in that. But when you see them out there and they're buying the strips, they're buying into the stuff. And the highlight for me at the Real Madrid one was when we went to the shortage of tickets. And the Celtic supporters were told that if they tried to get into the Real Madrid end, they would be obviously escorted away. They're buying Real Madrid hats, Real Madrid strips, walking about trying to speak Spanish. I'll be getting in there.
I mean, the trips were absolutely fantastic, and I know Kerry and Adam were out there and thoroughly enjoyed their trips out to Amsterdam and to Naples as well. Fantastic. We're going to try and bring more and more content to you on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. You'll get the notifications if you hit the bell as well, and join us on a regular basis and suck up as much of the content as we have, and there's more and more to come, especially if you download the app. As far as the Scottish Cup is concerned this weekend, here's the fixtures that you can look forward to. Hamilton Accies against Hearts is on the Friday, and then it's Ayr United, Elgin, Dundee United against Kilmarnock, Livingston Inverness, Raith Rovers against Motherwell, Celtic take on St Mirren. That's the later evening kick-off, and then of course on the Sunday it's Rangers against Partick Thistle, Ruffy, and Darvel against Falkirk on the Monday, and there's some belter ones there. Of course, if you're looking for cup shocks, where are they coming from, Ruffy?
I would say Ibrox Sunday.
Yeah, Thistle to knock them out.
2 or 3 probably.
Just out of curiosity, are we being unkind not considering that maybe everybody's looking and thinking, is it Celtic for the treble or is it Rangers for the double with the cups? Are we being unkind that maybe Hearts could pull something out of the bag here?
No,
No
chance.
On the evidence of that last game, you have to say no. But as we all know in Scottish Cup, any given day in a one-off game, some things can happen. They have been happening this year. We've not saw any big ones, and as we stand just now, I can't see anybody. Hearts are about the only team I think will get anywhere near Rangers or Celtic.
Yeah, Dundee United against Kilmarnock's an interesting one, because obviously we've already had Tony Ascar out yesterday just explaining the signing policy and how close they came to trying to get a replacement in for Tony Watt going out the other way. Hasn't happened. At least he fronted up for it. Ryan Edwards, were you surprised he lost his appeal?
No, I think that was a Stonewall red card. I think that was a waste of a grand.
$1,000.
Yeah, and that's a big cup tie. Kilmarnock have been shocking away from home this season. Really poor. I fancy Dundee United strongly in that game. Actually, I fancy them to beat Kilmarnock.
Yeah, so do I, Ruffy.
Yep.
Yeah, you on that as well. Raith Rovers against Motherwell is interesting, because if anything, we've been talking about all the positives about Alan Burrows moving as the chief executive to Aberdeen, but it's left a huge hole there at Motherwell now, where you're looking, you're saying to yourself, well, where's the guidance that's going to be coming forward? Will there be a replacement for him? And can Stephen Hamill somehow turn around their fortunes? And the last place you want to be going is a championship side that is well capable of taking a scalp in Raith Rovers.
Yeah, I think this is the one that everybody will be looking at the weekend. Obviously, just because the form that Motherwell are in, Raith Rovers are in a wee bit of form just now. They've picked themselves up. It's on the AstroTurf, which will be away from Motherwell's beautiful grass surface. But I think it's just the environment, and whatever way this game goes, this is one of the games that Motherwell need to score first, to get the confidence up, not only for them but for their supporters as well. Yeah,
and this is another team, Raith Rovers, unbeaten in 6 matches in all competitions.
I fancy Raith Rovers in this one, by the way.
Is this the shock?
I've been thinking about it all week. I've seen Raith Rovers a number of times at home. on that AstroTurf. They play some lovely football. They've got good players. Ian Murray's doing really well there. As I said, confidence is high. They go into all the pressures on Motherwell, all the pressures on Stephen Hamill. Motherwell, I would assume, would take a full 2,000 or 3,000 there, and that big away stand there. I think that's a shock. I don't think it would be that big a shock, by the way, that the Wraith Rovers beating Motherwell. I really don't. I don't think there's much between them.
Is it the critical point if they were to go out from Wraith Rovers? Is that the breaking point for Stephen Hamill?
Yeah, possibly. It depends on the manner of the game and the manner of defeat, but Stephen needs results and needs them quickly. The fans are turning on him. We've already said that. He's a club legend there, and there was a wee bit of leeway at the start, but Stephen is no daft. He knows himself that he needs to get results, and it's starting at the weekend.
Yeah, I can see the pain on his face when he's talking now in the press conference. He looks ashen faced at times, Ruffy.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you're a legend at the club. You feel as if you're taking everything on board because you've been there so long. You know how much it means to the club. You know how much it would mean to the club if they were to get relegated. Everything that goes with it, and everything's on his shoulder now. He's taking it. Before, he wasn't taking the brunt of it, but now he is. He's having to front it. He's having to go home, and he's got to think about it. He's got to go to bed. He's got to sleep about it. His day-to-day life just will revolve around Motherwell, and that's an added pressure that you've got to deal with.
Yeah. Will the Darvel dream continue on Monday night?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And the evidence, if they put in that kind of performance, obviously it'll depend on the manager's team talk.
Yeah.
What else he can come up with.
I'm dying to know. I hope they've got the cameras in again.
The game's on Monday.
Yeah,
so
Monday.
You could maybe look at any given Monday speech.
Yeah, which would be fantastic.
How's that go?
Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Have you seen Any Given Sunday, the movie?
I have. Is that
It's a game of inches.
Is it the American football one?
Yes.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I have.
It's a fantastic speech, actually.
Do you know that I've had that? Do you know that I've two managers have played that before a game? Tony Mowbray at Hibs and Alan Kernahan at Dundee.
Yeah.
And we get beat both games.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
Doesn't really work. The other aspect of that is it's always a blow when you hear a couple of Darvel players saying this is going to be a tougher game than Aberdeen. That's a blow, isn't it? What about that like?
The thing I think that now is the surprise factor's gone. And I think that would work against them. I think that nobody really expected them to beat Aberdeen, let's be honest. But they've got every chance. They played some lovely football against Aberdeen. They deserved to win. The goalkeeper made a few saves. Falkirk playing really well at the minute.
Yeah.
Go down there with confidence. We'll take a lot of supporters. I know a lot of Falkirk fans who are all going to the game. So I think it'll be a really, really good cup tie, actually. I'm looking forward to that game.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks to so many people who are still posting some of the players that they think are worthy of a mention in the top 10 Rangers players of all time.
Doing the Celtic one tomorrow?
I'll do the Celtic one tomorrow.
Is there any we've left out that we can have a wee go?
Well, some people are mentioning Ian Durrant. Durrant was a great player, but not in the top 10. And I love Durrant. He's a brilliant lad. Just great to be in his company. But I'm not sure he's in the top 10 of players. I certainly would love to have seen him, go on without that injury, because he would have gone on to even greater things. I think he would have ended up playing in England. But thanks to so many who are posting various other Rangers players that they think are worthy of it, we'll throw it out. It's on our TikTok, by the way. If you want to go onto PLZ Soccer's TikTok, you can see that. We're starting to post more and more.
Richard Foster got mentioned.
No, he didn't get a mention. Well, what we'll do is we'll extend it to the top 6,000 Rangers players and see if we can get him in there. Think you'll get back to him?
Richard's not going to be happy with that.
Yeah. What, 5,000?
5.5.
5.5, right, okay. There's a podcast called The Sweeper. It's a European football podcast, and it's compiled, just like ourselves, Ruffy, a list of the top unbeaten runs in Europe's top 10 leagues. Rangers, they've got joint 5th with 12 league games unbeaten. Here's the top 5 sides that they've put together on this one. And Rangers, 5th with 12, Salzburg with 14, Stade de Reims 14, Union Saint-Gilloise or Giwa 16, Newcastle 16, Celtic with 18 in number 1 position. It's
Napoli, are they? Somebody beat them, did they?
Well, I don't think it's a concession.
It's not now. It's not now. It's in the past.
So
so Celtic went whatever it was. back in the 60s or whatever, unbeaten. It's not now.
No, I think it is now. Celtic's league record this season: 23 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss.
Was it league? I thought it was Europe.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's league. Average 2.8 points per game and scoring an average of 3, just over 3 goals per game. They've won 12 out of 12 games at home at Celtic Park this season. So they're at number 1. Rangers are 5th with their run. It's always interesting to get these wee lists. I think it's good. It's a great talking point, Tam, when you get these things, isn't it?
Everything's about stats now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, unbeaten runs and goals against and all that stuff. But you know, who's the last team to beat them? St Mirren.
St Mirren, yeah.
Mental.
It's probably testament to the fact of how well drilled he has, Ange Postecoglou has them. I mean, I know they're linked.
He made too many changes that day.
Yeah, he did.
That was
actually.
right before the international break. Remember the game?
He's tweaking them now. Just it's one at tops that can force himself, maybe 2, but he does make the changes beyond the hour though. 4 or 5 players come on.
Yeah, and I think
that's when the game's won, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, I think the players buy into it now. You know, I think Maeda knows if he's put a shift in the 60 minutes, he's coming off.
Yeah.
You know, and I think all the players will be sitting. I mean, I've never been a substitute. Tom, you've been a substitute. If you're a substitute, if you're a substitute, are you sitting on the bench dying to get on, or are you just?
Depends what the score is.
I know, and you don't know what's happening. I think the Celtic bench guys will be sitting there knowing they're coming on.
Yeah.
I think that's the bonus they've got. They know that they're sitting there. I'm going to be going on this part for 30 minutes or 35 minutes, where there would be some players sitting on a bench going, I'm not going to get a game here.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here. And
it depends. It depends if you're 3 or 4 nothing up and you're a striker. You want to go in and get a couple of goals. If you're 4 or 5 nothing down, and the manager turns and goes, right, warmed up. You're like, what's the point?
Yeah,
bonus.
Absolutely. Just out of
bonus once you're on that park.
Once you're on the park. Funnily enough, Tam Burns told me a great story. He says sometimes just with a minute to go, Tam, he would shove on one of the younger boys because he knew they would get the bonus. And he says, and I always used to look up at the director's box, and I knew it would annoy the life out of Fergus because he was precious with every penny. But the young boys were happy to get on. There's the bonus, Ruffy. It's a huge boost to your wage at that time, eh?
Oh, well, I mean, way back then, the bonus was everything.
Yeah.
You know, bonus was it.
Yeah.
You know, and just when we were talking about substitute, my famous quote is again from, that's twice I'm going to mention him, the shows wee John Gagan at his testimonial saying, get me on, get me on. And then when he put him on, they left him on the bench.
You know that was him just making that story up, by the way, I have to tell you. He embellished it. Anyway, couple of little stories, serious ones, just before we say farewell. We'll give you a chance to win the competition. That'll come shortly as well. But it's a strange one last night. David Goodwillie made a return to football. An English Northern Premier League side, Radcliffe FC, came on. They didn't announce that he was there. He came on. He played in the game and scored a hat-trick. And then he was released this morning because the club have said they made a significant misstep and their due diligence should have been of a much higher standard, and they released him this morning.
Yeah, listen, I think that was a big mistake for signing him. Listen, we've seen the carry on with Clyde and Wraith Rovers. You know, for David, he needs to go somewhere else. He's not going to play again, professional or even semi-professional.
I think David Goodwillie is now at that point, and I don't want to pass comment on what's gone before. It's all been said, but I think he's now at that point where he possibly realises he's just not going to be able to play football competitively, Ruffy.
Yeah, we'd have to. Tam says you have to move. You'd have to move somewhere obscure that nobody knows anything about his past, and I don't know what country that would be that wouldn't be bothering about his past.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just don't know where that would be. He must be kicking himself now for everything that's went in the past. You said we spoke about it before. There was ways to handle that he could have been back playing by now, but he never did it for whatever reason. But I mean, talented footballer. And he must be going through absolute hell just now.
I mean...
No, that I'm saying he shouldn't be.
No, exactly. I was just going to highlight there. I think people make their choices in life, and ours is almost certainly 100% with the victim who has had to go through absolute hell. Alfredo Morelos reportedly turned down a move to Turkish side Konyaspor. I'm curious to see what Morelos is going to do at the end of the season, Tam. I think there's just that little story there that caught my eye, and I thought, you know, he's go anywhere in the summer.
Leaving on a free.
Yeah.
He's leaving on a free. I'd be unbelievably surprised if he signs a new contract with Rangers now. You know, he's nearing the end of his term at Rangers. you can go anywhere on a free. You can pocket that money. You know, he can go to Turkey on a free. He can go to Dubai. He can go anywhere he wants and get a big payday. So, listen, I think him and his agent will be working hard behind the scenes to secure a big money move for him.
And Man United reportedly on the brink of being taken over by Qatari, the Emir of Qatar, and a £4.5 billion deal. So they're moving from the Americans, who obviously had their own unusual way or a business way of buying Manchester United, with saddling them with a lot of debt, and now the Emir of Qatar. English clubs being owned by everyone other than English owners or British owners anymore. Does it matter?
Well, as long as we spoke about it yesterday, as long as they do the sort of a fair play, you know, and they play within the parameters of what the rules are out there, you would like to think so. But when you start getting owners who are worth £300 billion, you know, it's incredible money to think about. You know, that these clubs are now getting the backing of these big sheiks or princes or whatever. But
you're just trying to get through everybody you know in a kind of a royal face, yeah. Can you come up with them all?
Peter's searching for money by deals, Ed. If there's anybody watching the show,
if the Emir of Qatar wants to buy PLZ Soccer, we'll be happy with that. 2 million wouldn't scratch the surface. Ruffy, the answer to the quiz. Here it is. The question is quite straightforward. Name the only player to have appeared in 6 European Cup final wins.
I'm going to go for Di Stefano.
It's not a bad shout, Ruffy. It's that same time.
Well, I'm thinking of all the European Cups have got in their trophy room, and they were all, majority of them early days were all from that era.
Yes, it is.
So
yours was Seedorf and he's 4.
I thought Seedorf, but I'm going to go for my grandparents' favourite player, Gento.
No, you saw that. I knew when I moved it up there. Honestly, can I just say something to you? No, there's no way. I moved it up and I had to move. I knew you read it. Honestly, he's as sweet as a Clyde. You know, but it is. It's Paco Gento.
Wow.
The one thing about it, this is the God's honest truth, right? See, on a Saturday, I've got the computer there, right? So what he does is he looks at all the things that I've researched and the stats and everything, and then he fires it out as if it's just coming out of his noggin, as he's the most intelligent pundit of all time.
I've got an earpiece in.
You know, you used to do that with Gordon Smith.
Blair feeds me stuff through.
You wouldn't know what to do with an earpiece.
Yes, I would.
Ruffy,
I'm with them. That's my.
You used to do that with Gordon Smith, didn't you?
Smudger used to come in with everything, and then it just sort of was in my right eye.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the competition? Still plenty time to win a bumper prize. All you have to do is tell us which book you want to win.
This is your chance to win one of these fantastic books that looks back at the classic shirts throughout both clubs' history. You can read about your favourite shirt and your favourite season as a Celtic or Rangers supporter. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is tell us which book you would like to win in the comment section below. And to double your chances of winning, hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yes, indeed. Good luck. Lots of great prizes all the way to the summer. I hope you're going to tell your friends, share the stream, and of course, hit the subscribe button as well. And if you can download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. I leave you with the best line that's come from James Skeen, who says, "Tam, cheat." It's as simple as that. Thank you, James, for that brilliant piece of punditry from yourself. You've nailed it, absolutely. If you can read it, he'll shout it out. Anyway, thanks to Tam, absolutely top drawer, and Ruffy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who's downloading the podcast as well. We really appreciate that. And for those who are subscribing and, of course, hitting the notifications bell, we're delighted that you've joined the football family. It's uncensored, unbiased, unmatched. It's 6 days a week for the programming, and of course you can look and get some very unique video content on our website and our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching today. We'll see you tomorrow.